Hello guys, LazyBeast here. I hope you're doing well today. Now what we're going to do in this video is discuss the Threads of Fate leveling. Now if you're like me and you just jumped on an alt, went through the WoW intro, you got to the NPC that offers you the choice, you slammed the cursor down on Threads of Fate, and then you realised that everyone was chatting about how slow it was, and that it's not actually as quick as just doing the campaign as you did the first time. Well, fear not, it's not actually that bad. In this video I've got some tips for you of things you should focus on, because you can sort of get into the Threads of Fate level and think, yes, I am free, I can do whatever I want, and think, actually, what should I do? And you may find yourself at a bit of a loose end. So what I want to do in this video is just condense things down a little bit, tell you what to focus on, and then hopefully you can go out there and just like level your characters in a pretty good time. So when I did this, I was doing it as Blood DK, and it took me probably about 7 to 8 hours, which is, you know, an hour or so longer than it probably would have took me if I did the campaign again, you know, skipping all the dialogue and all that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not just going to tell you that I just dungeon spammed because I was a tank and it's quick queues, because the queues are pretty quick anyway for DPS because it's started the expansion, there's lots of people, so I'll go into detail about what I actually did. So the first tip I can give you, and this is not possible for everybody, when leveling through Threads of Fate, I'm going to try and not call it Threads of Fate because I keep doing that, is to level as a tank if possible. This is just going to make it so that you can just do huge pulls. Obviously you're going to get quick queues, slightly quicker, it's fast anyway like I just said for DPS and healers. And yeah, it's basically all about just blasting through the content. So there's a lot of world quests and obviously quest chains and things that you're going to be doing. So if you want to just fly through as fast as possible, then you can do that. There were so many times that I was leveling up where I'd come across like a person, a DPS just leveling up, and I'd be there pulling like 10, 12 mobs and they'd be fighting 1 or 2 at a time, and then as I walked past they'd just like tag along and they'd help me blast things down, so it was good for us both, and you can obviously group up if that's the thing. So level as a tank if you can. Now as for quests and things, I did find that side quests were the best thing to focus on. Don't focus on the world quests too much, they usually take absolutely ages, and some of them can actually be quite hard. Even the ones that are literally just like defend this area and you've got to just kill stuff and pick stuff up, your kill can take like 1%, so you're talking, you know, near enough 50 kills to get just one world quest done, which is quite a lot. If you are doing it as a tank, and obviously you can do massive pulls, that's cool, but chances are you're going to be blowing your cooldowns, so your cooldowns are going to be off cooldown all the time, so it's just going to take a long time. So what I recommend is that you focus on doing side quests. If you can find a cluster or a little area, there's some good ones in Renown, for example, where there's a nice few side quests together that sort of are in the same area, then do those. Focus on quest chains, so again, if you've already done some side quests and you've got some quest chains that you like, then do those, because they're going to be more consistent XP, just like they were when you were leveling through the campaign. You know, they're going to follow you on, they're going to take the thought process out of it, and you're just going to be able to just do the quests as fast as possible. The side quests are all marked on your map, so don't worry about, you know, where do I find them. They're all marked on your map, so have a little look around in the areas where you want to quest. If there does happen to be a world quest up at the same time, then definitely go for that. Do it. If you can do 2 birds with 1 stone, then that's obviously going to make you more efficient. When you're doing side quests, what you'll often find is that you, in a new hub, there'll be like a wanted quest or a quest to kill a mob where it recommends that you group up for it. I do recommend doing those. Obviously, if you're like a healer or a squishy DPS, you're going to have a rough time unless you can find a group. So again, tank if possible, because it will take you a bit longer, but chances are you can solo stuff. And these type of quests usually give like, you know, 1.5 of a normal quest's worth of XP, so they are definitely worth doing. Sometimes it's like double the amount of a normal quest. So yeah, try and do those if you can. So of course, you'll have noticed that when you went into a zone for the first time, you got basically what is a zone quest, which is like, you know, help out Bastion or like help Revendreth or wherever you've gone for the first time, whatever zone you've chosen to level in, you'll get a quest. The best thing to do when you start off leveling in Threads of Fate is to go around and fly to each zone, pick up these quests, because if you are queuing dungeons, then you'll find that when you kill a boss in a dungeon that's in a specific zone, then you will gain progress to that zone quest. This will make sense when you start doing it. So what you want to try and do is finish off these zone quests as quick as you can in like quite an efficient order. So if you're leveling through Bastion, for example, which is a good idea, somewhere to start, then once you've got the Bastion quest to like around 90%, say level 54 for example, you then want to move on to the next zone, because if you queue for a random dungeon and you get one of the dungeons that's in Bastion, you're going to kill those bosses and complete that zone quest from killing the bosses, so you didn't need to stay in Bastion and quest, if that makes sense. You could have started working on the next zone. As for which zone to choose first, it is a good idea to pick Bastion. If you're on quite a busy server and you're leveling in war mode, which you should do for the bonus XP, chances are, if you're going to get engaged in world PvP, the people in Bastion are going to be round about the same level as you if it's people that are leveling up. If you go straight to Revendreth and there's people that are leveling through the campaign, then those guys are likely going to be level 58, 59, and obviously they're just going to smash you in world PvP if that's the case. What you may want to do for a bit of a change is choose the Covenant zone that you've chosen. So obviously if you've chosen, for example, the Necrolords, then maybe just go and do all the quests in Maldraxxus, you know, and then when you're in your Covenant, and well, obviously you're already in your Covenant at the start of Threads of Fate, but when you get to max level, all the side quests will be done, everything will be unlocked and stuff, so you won't need to worry about that. So you might want to just tidy up your own zone first, but you know, do whatever you fancy. Personally, what I did, I was on a Blood DK, I'm part of the Venthyr Covenant, so I did Bastion first, and then I went straight to Revendreth, and there's some quests in there. There's a quest on the top right of the map, there's lots of quests actually. This is a really good quest chain that I do recommend doing to unlock the Avowed Reputation, which is something you're going to want to do, especially if you're Venthyr, but as well if you're not Venthyr, there's some little perks you can get from getting that reputation up, and those quests were so good. There were loads of quests in the chain, and it gave me a lot of XP. It really made the last bit of leveling quite fast for me at the end, so I do recommend you do this at some point over your leveling journey. Now, with regards to the zone quests, once you've completed them, you can hand them in whenever you want, but the best thing to do is save them till you get to level 59, and then if you complete all 4 of the zone quests, they will give you a quarter of a level of XP. Now, they'll still give you a quarter of a level XP if you hand them in at level 56, for example, but obviously you're going to get the most benefit from it because it's the most XP to get from 59 to 60 than it is, for example, 50 to 51, obviously. So, save them for level 59. The best thing about these is obviously the amazing XP, so you can basically get from 59 to 60 in like minutes if you've got all these quests done, but they'll also give you a level of renown as well when you've completed this. Now, I did this in the second week of Shadowlands, and it gave me 1 level of renown per zone quest, which was really good. It helped me catch up instantly. Now, going down the line, I'm not sure if they will give you more renown, you know, say 2 renown, 3 renown, the further on in Shadowlands we get, to help you catch up quicker. I'm not sure, but for now it gives you 1 renown. So that's something to definitely bear in mind. If you don't complete these quests and get to level 60, they'll still be there in your log, but as soon as you start your Covenant quests, they will be removed from your log, so you won't have access to doing these if you've not already completed them. So make sure that you hand them in, you know, at level 59 or level 60 as soon as you get there. Don't start all your Covenant stuff, because what happened to me, it may be different for you, but they got removed from my log. I wasn't planning on doing them anyway, so I wasn't that bothered, and I was already caught up on renown, but that's again something to bear in mind. Another thing that you definitely want to do, which is well worth it, is if you're going to be queuing dungeons or through your leveling, you want to get the dungeon quests. Now, some of these are really easy to pick up, some of them are part of quest chains, so don't worry about it. The one that I mentioned earlier in Revendreth with the Avowed Reputation, that does lead to a dungeon quest at the end, so if you're going to do that, you could perhaps do that earlier on in your leveling journey, so then maybe at like level 56, 57, you get the dungeon quest for the Halls of Atonement, and you can go and do that. These give a big chunk of XP, not as much as the zone quests, but a good big chunk of XP, so they really are worth doing, so pick those up if you can. You can usually find these outside the dungeon or when you port into the dungeon. So, for example, there's one in Bastion for the Necrotic Wake, and that's just outside of the dungeon. So, you know, make your way down there when you go into Bastion and pick that up. So there we go, guys. That's some tips and stuff on how to do that. I hope that sort of helped you feel a bit more, you know, in like focused on your level and stuff, and like you know where to go and what you should focus on. It's not that bad, Threads of Fate. I do think it will be good if they buff some XP on, you know, maybe buff the XP from side quests or world quests in particular, because those do feel pretty bad to do. So do avoid them if you can, but obviously, like I said before, if they pair up with side quests, then they are worth doing. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as a lot of people thought. When I clicked, you know, Threads of Fate on 2 alts, and then I read before I started leveling them up that it was not as fast, I was gutted. But when I got stuck in there, you know, you get in the flow of it, it's really not that bad. So there we go, guys. I hope you're enjoying Shadowlands. I definitely am. Take care, guys. I've been LazyBeast, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.